Hey everybody. Just wanted to talk to you today about my port placement. Um, Today is Sunday morning and I got it placed on Tuesday afternoonish. So, with the two types of drugs that they are giving me for the chemo, one of them I get 3 days in a row, and two of them I get 2 days in a row. So, the doctors decided that I should get a port, which I didn't really know much about it in the beginning, and I wasn't like a huge fan because it was scary and something I didn't know about, and whatever. But now, so far, I am pretty pleased with it because it makes getting chemo a lot easier than having to get stuck with an IV every time. Um, and it, sorry, my ear is really messing up today. Um, it makes it so that it's pretty relatively painless when you get poked to get the chemo because they give you like a numbing cream that you put over it. So it's like super nice. Um, I got diagnosed on a Friday night and I got the port placed on a Tuesday. So it was kind of crazy. We met with the doctor beforehand and he said, "Yep, we're going to put the port in." Um, So I go, and everyone that I had talked to was like, "Oh, it's not that big of a deal. Like they just put this little thing under your skin, and you'll be sore for a little bit, but no big deal." And I'm like, "Okay." I don't feel like I'm a baby when it comes to pain. I've had a baby. I've had two shoulder surgeries. I've dislocated my shoulder like 15 times and like barely moved like when they put it back in, and when you see like you hear about other people like screaming and fainting, passing out, like all this kind of stuff from like dislocations. So I feel like I have a pretty high pain tolerance, but at the same time everyone's like, "Oh, it's no big deal." I'm like, they're cutting you open, they're sewing this thing to the chest muscle wall, and then this foreign body is inside of you, and then they're going to just glue it back up. Like that doesn't sound like just nothing. So I was kind of nervous. Um, so the day of, my sister took me, and I love her, but she's a little bit of a basket case sometimes. So I think she was probably more nervous than I was. Um, so we go, and the place that we went, we're in Toledo. We went to Bay Park Hospital, which is amazing. And you go in their like short stay unit. So it's not like full like surgery kind of thing. It's just their short stay where they do like, I think, caths and port placements and like little procedures like that. So they check you in, they have you take everything on the top off so I could leave my pants and socks and everything on, but everything on top has to come off, and then you get a gown. And you get in the bed, they take all your vitals, they run an IV. The lady kind of had to like search for my veins a little bit, and I'm like, "Don't do this, lady. You don't want to do this." Because I used to pass out every time I got blood drawn. I don't anymore. I am like way better, but still, like, it can get to me if I can like feel you like moving around in my veins trying to get it. So I was like, "We're not going to start this way." But she got it. And then, you just kind of have to wait. Um, and it's nice because we were in our own private room, private bathroom. My sister could come back there and wait while they were like doing the little procedure. So that was nice. So they wheeled us back. We talked to the doctor. They showed us support, showed us how they worked. And I have a little thing right here. I don't know if you can see it. It's right here. But that is what the port looks like. So it's just kind of this plasticky looking thing, and then there's like a gel thing over here, that's where the needle will push into, and then there's like tubing, and that will go into the vein or the artery. I don't know the difference. I should. That will like go into your heart and stuff. So I actually got a double port, so it's basically two of those hooked together, and that way they can infuse two types of drugs, or they could, like, if I will ever need infusions, they could infuse two different kinds of things at the same time so that it wouldn't be like, "Okay, one infusion that took 4 hours. Let's start another one. This will take 3 hours," kind of thing. So it can be a little more. it can speed up the process if it's needed. So far, I haven't used both of them. They just switch back and forth. One this time because they were new to make sure that they both worked. But then I think they will regularly do that, go back and forth. One, so they're not poking the same one 3 days in a row, and then two, just to keep it even. So we went back. The doctor explained it all. They ask you your name a million times, name and birth date. He explained everything that was going to happen, and then Laura went back and waited for me. I think she went and got Dr. Pepper and Cheetos or something, maybe something. And then they wheel me in, and pretty sure the way that they make sure that they know that the tubing is getting into the right veins, they take x-rays. So they wheel you in on this nice cushy bed, hospital bed, and then they make you transfer yourself over to the thin little operating table, and it's hard, and you're like, okay, like, good thing I'm not a really big person, because I would feel like I'm like flopping off both sides. But they had laid like one of those x-ray belts underneath, and then they put it over my stomach since I am pregnant to just protect the baby or whatever. So I hop over to that table, and they're like putting everything on me, like leads on my chest, a nasal cannula, a mask, a thing over my hair, blood pressure, the pulse ox, something else. So it was like I was all hooked up. And then this young lady was like, okay, I'm going to prep you for surgery, and I'm going to have to expose you. And it's like, I know this is their job. I know, like, I'm a PTA, physical therapist assistant. I've worked in nursing homes for a couple years, and it's like, yeah, you see people's butts, you see all their stuff, you see their boobs, you see it all. And to me, yeah, that's our job. That's what we do. You help them go to the bathroom, you help them change, you clean them up. And that's just part of it, and you don't think anything of it. But when it's you, it's a whole nother story when you're laying on this operating table and they're like, okay, we're just going to completely expose your breast, and you're just going to be laying here, and there's men in the room, and have fun. So wasn't really expecting that, but it was, it's not a huge deal, but just something to think about. If you're a woman and you're getting a port, that will probably happen. So they, pull my gown down, pull my arm out of it, and then they like cleaned it like 3 different times with different antibacterial stuff, alcohol stuff, just to make sure that it's a clean area. And then they had to drape me. So had no clue. And you see it on doctor shows and stuff, but like, he's like, okay, I need you to turn your head. So the whole time my head is turned like this, and I'm draped like pretty much like this, all like around here, so that they could just get this area. So that was kind of awkward. And because I was pregnant, they didn't want to give me like the highest dose of like sedation, just because of the baby, and make sure the baby's okay. So when I got my LEEP procedure last time, I was out of it. I could hear voices, but I had no clue what was happening. Like, I felt them moving my legs, that kind of stuff, but I was not there at all. This time I was fully there. I felt no pain because they put lots of I think they did like 4 or 5 lidocaine shots around here. But I could hear everything, and I could feel them like pushing and tugging, and they kept asking me if I was okay and all that kind of stuff. So that was a bit different because I was like fully awake, and you have all these emotions, and like going into the operating room when it was first starting, I feel like I can have a good handle on my emotions. I don't really like crying in front of people if it can be helped. I don't think most people like crying in front of people. But some people just do, and that is completely fine. But I can usually like hold on to it until I'm alone in my room or whatever, or with someone that I feel very comfortable with. And so when they're wheeling me in, I'm just clenching my teeth because this is all so new. Like, we just found out Friday, and I'm getting the port on Tuesday. And I'm like, they're wheeling me in, and I'm looking up at the ceiling, and I'm like, this is my life now. Like, this is my life. Procedures and ports and chemo and who knows what. Like, this is what it's going to be like for however, the rest of this goes on. And that's a very overwhelming feeling when just like 3 or 4 weeks ago, I was living my life and I still have a 10-month-old and I was pregnant, 8 weeks pregnant. And yeah, that was overwhelming, but it was good. And it's a major shift that I'm still not completely comprehending. So as they're wheeling me in, like that's all I could think about. So as I'm awake during this procedure, that's going through my head over and over and over again. And I'm awake. And they're like, "Are you okay?" And I'm like, "Yep." And it was just like, keep it together, Heather, because you can't start bawling on this table because it's probably not good if you're shaking while they're putting this port in your chest. um, so I get back to the room and they wheel me back. And of course, it's like 10 different hallways and it's cold and the wind is blowing because you're just laying on the stretcher. And I get back into the room and Laura's there. And I just start like, my teeth start chattering, like I cannot stop them. And I start like shaking and crying because it was just like, it's over. I made it. Like, we're good. But it was just all the emotions came and it didn't last long, but it was definitely there. And I think you have to have those times. And yeah, so of course, Laura, if you know her, if you don't, then whatever, but she's like the most loving, caring, mothering person in the world. So she's patting my hair and, brushing the tears out of my eyes and it's going to be okay and all that kind of stuff while she's trying not to like sob convulsively. And it was good. So then I took full advantage of it and she had bought me chips and guac from Chipotle and we got water in a straw. So I made her feed them to me while I was laying in bed. Because even though I was fully awake, I was still like sedated some. So I was super tired. Like super tired. And all I wanted to do was sleep, but we were like the last ones there. I thought we were going to be done by like 5. We had left our house at like noon, met with a doctor, and then went straight to the port placement. I thought we would be home by like 5:30, and it's like 7. And I'm exhausted. And they hadn't let me eat since 10, I think, that morning. And it's like 7 and I'm starving. I'm exhausted. I'm like drugged up and kind of starting to be in pain. And I just wanted to lay there all night. And the nurse was like, "Okay, you can get up if you want, but take your time." And I was like, "Am I the last one here?" And she's like, "It doesn't matter. We're here for you." And I'm like, "Okay, basically that's code for, yeah, you're the last person here. Get out." But I'm super nice, so I'm not going to say that. So I was like, "Laura, we got to go." So we get up and we start getting dressed and stuff. And it was pretty painful. Like I said, it was still numb from the lidocaine, but it's still like I could feel it, obviously. And especially like when you move positions for the first couple of days, it's like super sore, at least for me. Maybe I am a baby. I don't know. But like when you like sit up from laying down, it feels like this just like heavy, like 50-pound weight is hanging from your chest because it's like this new thing. So, and when I went, they give you, well, this was actually the next day at chemo, but they gave me like, I would highly recommend for those first couple days, get like a seatbelt protector because it like pads it. So the seatbelt isn't like pushing down onto it because that was painful. And just the jostling of the car because I live in the country. So all the roads are like, blah. So that was not very fun to drive for the first couple days. But so we got home. I went to bed pretty quickly because it had been a big day. And I slept from like 10 to like 2. And then I woke up at 2 and I was in a lot of pain and I wasn't going back to sleep. I took a Tylenol which is so funny because, I just got out of my first trimester and I was so like, I can't take any drugs. They don't want you to take anything like your first trimester because it could be bad, so bad for the baby and blah, blah, blah. And now it's like, I'm in my second trimester. I'm having ports. I'm having chemo. Like, what could be worse for a baby? And I'm worried about taking a Tylenol. It just, my life is crazy right now. Just the switch. And it kind of changes stuff when you're fighting for your life so that your baby could have a life. You take a Tylenol when you need to, I guess. So, took a Tylenol and it really didn't help that night. So I didn't sleep much that first night. And I would say I got it Tuesday afternoon and probably till about Thursday afternoon. It was pretty tender. But after that, it really started healing up nicely. Like it wasn't that painful. Like the first couple days, it hurt to lift my arm or to reach or anything. I definitely slept on my back those first couple nights. And then I could start sleeping on the opposite side of it. I did lay on that side last night, Saturday. And it was a little uncomfortable, but it wasn't horrible. So it heals pretty quickly. And like I said, I got a double port, so my incision is a little bigger and the real estate in there is a little bigger, so that could be part of it too. But yeah, it doesn't take that long to heal. They say in the beginning, they were like, you can't lift anything more than 10 pounds for 10 days. And I'm like, I have a 10-month-old that's like 16, 17 pounds. I'm not lifting him for 10 days. So it has been pretty nice because I did start chemo, so people were already watching him. So today's Sunday, and my husband will probably pretty much have him most of the day. So Monday will be like day 7, I think. So I kind of got through that. I feel that I could probably start lifting him without, like, the pain is pretty much gone, but just don't want to hurt it internally and not know kind of thing. So, and I'll try and show it to you. It's not the best light, but so this is the actual ports. There's 2 of them. That's the one they accessed on Friday. So there's like a bit of a prick of blood, and then the other one is right here. They make an incision up here, and then they thread like the tubing down, and then that's where they like cut you in to like put all this stuff. So they just glue that part. So there's no stitches on the outside. They like internally stitch it to your chest wall, but this is just glue. So then they say don't let it get really wet for showers for like quite a while. They're like, if a little bit dribbles on, it's okay, but like don't like get it super wet. So what I've been doing, because when you go to chemo, they say put this lidocaine stuff on it and then put like a saran wrap over it. So when I've been taking showers, I've been putting the saran wrap and then putting like Vaseline around the outside just to try and keep it dry, and then to, just kind of not let the water like fall on it, and then pat it dry because you just don't want the glue to come up before like the skin is actually healed. But I feel like now it's been 5 days or whatever, and I feel like it's healing up nicely. So that has been my port placement. Overall, not a horrible experience. Overall, I'm glad I have it because I won't have to get poked every time, and my veins won't like collapse in my arms and hands and stuff. And I can get I think I said that I can get all my labs drawn from that. So I really shouldn't have to get poked very much through this whole process, which I am so thankful for. So if you have any questions, let me know. But that was my port placement.